Welcome back. Now, let's see. एक मिनट. We've got. ठीक है. So we've got. Currently, NSA is holding a cabinet minister rank. अच्छा वो बेटा किसी उनको स्टेटस दिया जाता है कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर के रैंक का, तो इसका मतलब है वो जो पर्क्स प्रिविलेजेस जो सिक्योरिटी एक कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर को मिलती है वही स्टेट जो सिक्योरिटी है वो उस पर्सन को मिल जाएगी. यहाँ पे मतलब आपने एग्जांपल में एनएसए पूछा है तो एनएसए को जो पर्सन होंगे इनको वो स्टेटस मिल जाएगा, वो मतलब स्टेटस दिया हुआ है. एंड ही वुड बी बेसिकली एनएसए जो है वो सिक्योरिटी के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में भी मिलते होंगे. तो वो सब वो मतलब अगर इफ ही इज राइटिंग ए लेटर ये सब, तो वो जो भी स्टेटस है कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर के रैंक के पर्सन को मिलता है वो उनको पास वो है, सब कुछ दिया है, इक्वलेंट है वो किसी से कम में डाउन में नहीं होंगे वो. नाउ दैट इज व्हाट कि अगर किसी को स्टेटस मिल जाता है, बहुत बार मिलता है. ठीक है. प्लानिंग कमीशन के जब पहले प्लानिंग कमीशन था उनको भी स्टेटस एक मिनिस्टर जो चेयरपर्सन होते थे मतलब डेप्यूटी चेयरपर्सन प्लानिंग कमीशन उनको कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर का ही रैंक दिया जाता था. मतलब वो इक्वलेंट है, सैलरी पे पर्क्स प्रिविलेज जो भी होगा. अगर सैलरी तो चलो एमपी की सेम ही होती थी बट सारे प्रिविलेज सब कुछ उनको एक्स्ट्रा रहते थे. ठीक है. व्हाट इज ग्रुप ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स? ग्रुप ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स कोई स्पेशल काम के लिए इन्होंने सेटअप कर दिया, कोई भी मतलब कोई फिक्स नहीं है उसमें. कुछ मिनिस्टर को सेटअप कर दिया कि चलो आप लोग ये ग्रुप ऑफ मिनिस्टर हो और ये आपका एक ग्रुप उन्होंने मतलब सेटअप कर दिया. तो मतलब कुछ भी हो सकता है. एक ग्रुप ऑफ मिनिस्टर सेटअप कर दिया कि इंडिया से गरीबी कैसे हटेगी, तो एक ग्रुप ऑफ मिनिस्टर बहुत डेडिकेटेड वर्क के ऊपर क्या हो गया उनका ये एडिशनल जो काम है उसके सिवा ये भी एक डोमेन पे वो चेक करेंगे. ग्रुप ऑफ मिनिस्टर को कोई पर्पस स्पेसिफिक पर्पस दे दिया उनको और दे लुक इनटू दैट. उसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में वो बाकी काम तो कर ही रहे हैं अपना, बट ये उनका और एक स्पेशलाइज्ड डोमेन में हो गया कि दैट ये आप 5 मिनिस्टर हो, इसमें आप 5 के साथ भाई 3-4 मिनिस्टर ऑफ स्टेट भी डाल दिए हो एंड देन आप ये सब काम एक स्पेसिफिक काम देख रहे हो. कुड बी रिलेटेड टू हाउ टू इम्प्रूव द इमेज ऑफ गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, मान लो यही है, तो उसमें 2-3 मिनिस्टर को मिक्स कर दिया, बोला कि आप सब लोग प्लस इतने लोग मिनिस्टर्स डेप्यूटी मिनिस्टर्स ये सब लोग चेक करेंगे कि कैसे हम इंडिया के में गवर्नमेंट को बेटर पोर्ट्रे करें, हम प्रेजेंट करें वहां. ठीक है. देखो अगर आप देखेंगे इन टर्म्स ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट वी हैव दैट प्राइम मिनिस्टर प्लस काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर रिस्पॉन्सिबल टू द लोअर हाउस. एक तो ये कॉन्सेप्ट देखा है हमने, प्राइम मिनिस्टर काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर लोअर हाउस. एक और कॉन्सेप्ट होता है प्राइम मिनिस्टर लोअर हाउस काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर लोअर हाउस. ठीक है. जनरली ये 3 टाइप का कॉन्टेक्स्ट रहता है, अलग अलग कंट्रीज में देखा गया है. The Prime Minister and his council responsible to the lower house. Now, this is what theoretically India is, and practically we had seen post-independence. India had this concept. ठीक है. Theoretically India अभी भी यही है, theoretically, not practically. Then we find that Council of Ministers जो है कहीं कहीं टाइप के political setup में there is the council of ministers are actually accountable to prime minister and then prime minister is accountable to the lower house. यहां पे क्या होता है, प्राइम मिनिस्टर के पास मतलब बहुत ज्यादा एक्सट्रीम कंट्रोल होता है ओवर द मिनिस्टर्स, एक्सट्रीम कंट्रोल. हर मिनिस्टर उनको अकाउंटेबल होगा, अगर मिनिस्टर उनको अकाउंटेबल नहीं है तो हटा दिया जाएगा. वो तो यहाँ पे भी होता है. However, ministers has their own individual standing. They are politically मतलब वो टॉलर रहते हैं वो कंडीशंस. जहां ये सिस्टम रहेगा वो यहाँ पे क्या होगा कि all the ministers are accountable to the prime minister and the prime minister is accountable to the lower house. एक और ये भी सिस्टम देखा गया है, we've seen that system that the prime minister has almost no control over council of minister. इनका कोई कंट्रोल ही नहीं, almost no control. Or the prime minister, prime minister has almost no control over the ministers. Prime minister individually is responsible to the lower house. council of ministers individually responsible to the lower house. They would continue as council of ministers or ministers till the time the house has confidence in them. मतलब अगर house का confidence उन पे है तो फिर वो चल जाएगा ये system. ठीक है, मतलब प्राइम मिनिस्टर कुछ नहीं कर सकता है. Now, in terms of, if you look at all these three things, in which system do you think particularly that the, मतलब this is not, you are not supposed to text, अपने आप ही आप सोचिए. I've explained to you these three systems. So think yourself which system, in which system the prime minister would have the maximum control. सबसे ज़्यादा control prime minister का ministers पे किस में रहेगा? And that's pretty clear. This system would have, the prime minister would have the मतलब maximum control over their ministers at a different level. So एक system इसमें तो हमें maximum control दिख गया. Now दो बचे हैं हमारे पास. But मतलब again think yourself that which place, in which area the prime minister has the least control over its ministers. सबसे least control prime minister का कहाँ पे होगा? And there's no doubt it is in this system. ठीक है? Now अगर if and this is not a PT concept, this is an understanding of the mains. If we see that India has seen which all system, India ने कौन से system देखे हुए हैं? And the answer is that India has seen this, all three India has seen. ठीक है? Theoretically, we are still this, ये है. Theoretically, we are this. Practically, if we see, practically post-independence, this is what was the reality. Post-independence, Prime Minister plus his council practically were also responsible to the lower house. The ministers were respected by the Prime Minister and they had, it was not that I am superior, it's yes, first amongst the equal. However, they also had good standing. Now, during emergency was the system that the Council of Ministers were responsible to the Prime Minister and Prime Minister was responsible to the lower house. So emergency we saw the extreme control over the executive by the Prime Minister, extreme control. However, we find this is coalition. Coalition में हमें ये system दिखता है, wherein Prime Minister is actually not having much control over his ministers. We have seen during the UPA era, the Prime Minister was writing letter to A. Raja. Prime Minister Manmohan Singh Saab was writing letter to A. Raja, who was also a minister, but from different political party, who was also in the alliance. And he was not even responding. आप समझ रहे हो? मतलब Prime Minister writing letter to the minister and the minister not even responding. Now, देखो. This does not show that the Prime Minister was a weak Prime Minister. Manmohan Singh was a strong Prime Minister. In international domain, we've seen that a lot of decisions were taken, which were strong. However, the government was very weak. So he knew that if he takes action against the, let's say, the political party or this minister, and then the political party gets angry and removes the support, then the government would fall. So if they would like to continue, then they have to keep quiet. They can't do anything because that minister says, nahi karunga main. This is the way I would behave. So they'll have to speak and then come to a conclusion. However, minister says, no, this is, if you want our support, this is how the things would be. Then the government, either they should be ready to fall, ki theek hai, koi baat nahi. We'll have fresh election, we will take care of that. Or they keep quiet. That is what is, or what was happening in the coalition time. So overall is, and currently we have this system. The Prime Minister has absolute control over his ministers. So that's the reason during this time you will not hear the names of the ministers much. Everything would be done from the PMO. I would even explain to you the PMO and the let's say cabinet secretariat also. So if at all we get the question, तो वहाँ का भी एक idea आ जाएगा हमारा. ठीक है? So ऐसा करते हैं, ये जो whatever I have explained to you, at least in this context, ये इसको आप लिख लो आप, ठीक है? पीटी के लिए नहीं है बेटा, मेंस के लिए है, ठीक है? लिखिए आप. Heading is Parliamentary System Across the World. Parliamentary System across the world. Parliamentary system across the world. लिखिए पहला लिखिए कैबिनेट गवर्नमेंट. कैबिनेट गवर्नमेंट. कैबिनेट गवर्नमेंट. सो लिखिए प्राइम मिनिस्टर along with council of ministers. Prime Minister along with council of ministers are collectively responsible to the lower house, are collectively responsible to the lower house. ठीक है. इसमें एग्जाम्पल में आप यू कैन पुट इंडिया और इंग्लैंड. ठीक है. दिस इज व्हाट वी हैव डन. सो इफ you'd like to draw like this also, you can do that. ठीक है. Next is prime ministerial government. Next is prime ministerial government. ठीक है. ये मतलब ये है prime ministerial government. I'm talking about not this. And example is Germany. ठीक है. यहाँ पे है example is Germany. लिखिए Chancellor is directly elected. Chancellor is directly elected and is responsible to lower house and is responsible to lower house and is responsible to lower house and council of ministers are responsible to and the council of ministers are responsible to the chancellor. Full stop. Continue. Chancellor has to face the house. Chancellor has to face the house and not the council of ministers and not the council of ministers. ठीक है. Now is this ये system इसको लिखिए ministerial government. This is ministerial government. Ministerial government. Example is Italy, Sweden. Example is Italy, Sweden. Italy, Sweden. Write down. Control of Prime Minister over the minister is very limited. Over the ministers is very limited. And they stay as ministers till the time they enjoy the pleasure of the legislature. They enjoy the pleasure of the legislature. Enjoy the pleasure of the legislature. ठीक है. देखो ये मतलब this understanding now you as see earlier it would have been if the question would have been on ministerial government maybe in mains that India though is a cabinet form of government, however in practical or in practice it is a prime ministerial form of government. So confusion hota ki exactly what are we trying to stress. So we are trying to stress here is that India pura one institution is having all the powers. Right. So I would even give you the example of the Cabinet Secretariat and Prime Minister Office, which we'll do after the Attorney General. So your idea exactly how one institution has all the power, वो कैसे होता है या कैसे हुआ, how all this happened, we would look into that. ठीक है. However, before that, let's talk about Attorney General. ठीक है. We would talk about Attorney. ठीक है. Attorney General, and we have got Article 76. ठीक है. आर्टिकल 76 जो है ये अटॉर्नी जनरल पे है। नाउ concept is not there much, however we would मतलब mostly PT ही based होना चाहिए। Now in context of attorney general कुछ चीजें हैं जो let me make you understand that and then we'll write all these points regarding the attorney general. Now in terms of attorney general, देखो the government of India has to fight cases. A lot of time people see government has all the resources. Government is into so many domains. There could be a possibility it violates somebody's fundamental right. Matlab, unknowingly also, knowingly, unknowingly could be there. The domain into which it's functioning, it is at a different level. So many cases would be there which would be dealing with the government of India. As per the attorney generals or as per different data, almost close to 60% or more than 60% of the cases in India in higher judiciary is related to the issues which are concerning the government of India. Means one of the party is attorney general. मतलब एक ना एक party जो है, तो दो party होंगी to a dispute. Two means for and against. For may have many support and against may have many things. So in any of these two, in more than 60% of the cases, one is the government of India. It means that it has to deal with a lot of cases. So we do have Ministry of Law and Justice. Ministry to hai. Ministry of Law and Justice. This ministry is not only supposed to look only on the cases which are being filed against the government, but it also has to look into many things, laws which require some improvement, many things. बहुत चीजें हैं इनके पास. One of the work is this also. Now, somebody has to fight cases also on the behalf of the government. So, the highest legal officer of the country, that is Attorney General, this post is a constitutional post because mentioned in the Constitution. Article 76 directly talks about Attorney General. So, देखो, we have Solicitor General also. However, Solicitor General is not mentioned in the Constitution, but Attorney General is mentioned. Solicitor General हो जाएंगे Attorney General के junior, मतलब who will support the Attorney General. So he is the highest legal officer of the country. The cases what would or which would be fought or which would not be fought by the Attorney General. ऐसा देखो, don't think Attorney General would always fight all the cases. There could be a case in the High Court which the Attorney General is fighting. At the same time, there could be a case which is in the Supreme Court, however, Solicitor General is fighting. हो सकता है. Because see, the case is, a lot of research are done before somebody can go. So it's not about the, let's say when the advocate is going to fight the case, it's not that the attorney is preparing on the date of the case. They have to prepare for many hours, sometimes days also. There is a big team. However, he has to study, find out the clauses, loopholes, the issues, everything, and has to prepare accordingly. So there could be a possibility that this case, the person did not get time, or basically he was somebody else. He asked that please you take care of this case. I am already engaged in these cases. So he could be there in High Court. At the same time, in Supreme Court, Solicitor General may also be representing. तो ऐसा नहीं होगा कि how come he should represent that? No, he may be engaged. He may be, and a lot of time people believe that the case is in Supreme Court, so he should be the one. No, there could be a case in High Court which may be very important for the government of India at that moment. Also, everyone would have certain areas of expertise. Agreed, civil, criminal, अलग-अलग होता है. However, we have that. Maybe in that particular domain, we feel that, oh, Solicitor General would have a better, or he is an expert in this domain. So anything could be there. So just by looking at the attorney and solicitor, don't think that, how come a solicitor is there. Also, whenever you find attorney or solicitor, at least this is for sure that it is a very important issue for Government of India. Otherwise, the solicitor would not come. We've had cases wherein a normal person is being arrested and they are applying for bail, and Solicitor General came on behalf of the state to stop this, at least to stop, he can't do it, but however to give argument against that the bail should not be given. So if this is happening, it means this case is very important for the government. That's the reason they've sent such a high, such a senior officer of the court. Officer of the court नहीं, officer of the government of India. Officer of the court तो वो अलग है, 146 context is different. So we have Attorney General, who anyone who has the qualification of the Supreme Court judge qualification. Not that the person needs to be a Supreme Court judge. Supreme Court judge की qualification जो है 124 clause 3 में we saw qualification. The person could be 10 years advocate in the High Court or 5 years judge in the High Court. Now, this person, all these people are a distinguished jurist in the opinion of the President. Anyone who has any of these three qualifications is eligible to become the Attorney General. बन सकते हैं बन. Generally, we find Attorney Generals are those people who are more, मतलब 10 years plus advocate. That is what is being picked up instead of judges being picked up, because there could be a possibility that a judge of a High Court after retirement though can plead in Supreme Court. But what if in future an important case comes in which he has to come to the same High Court which he is worked in? So he would not be allowed, because he cannot plead before any authority, at least in that state. So generally we don't find attorneys who are High Court judges. Generally यही होता है, advocates. Now the advocate, or basically the Attorney General, is not a full-time counsel of Government of India. Full-time counsel नहीं होते. Attorney can do private practice also. He is allowed to do private practice. Now all these information which I am giving are too factual and PT context ही होता है. However, we've seen a question in mains also. So, attorney is the highest legal officer. He files the cases for the Government of India. He has, by being an Attorney General, he has all the right to sit in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. However, he can't vote. He can take part in the proceeding. However, he can't vote. मतलब he cannot. होता क्या है? He is sitting actually. However, he is not voting. And why we do allow the attorney to sit in the House? That is, he is listening to the views of the people, and this could be also used in the court to prove that why this law is important. The arguments while passing the law can be given at the time in the Parliament that this law was used, and let's say a lot of times Supreme Court for interpretation reads the Constituent Assembly debates also, that what kind of discussion happened during that time on this clause, and finally what was the intention of bringing this law. Likewise, same thing, in current era also it can be done. So he should be, so that's the reason he's allowed to sit in any of the house, even to any of the committee. However, not allowed to vote in that context because he's not a member. Attorney General can sit in any court also, not as a judge. वहाँ पे आके मतलब चुपचाप, he would like to see the hearing of that court case. So you can sit and hear the case. वैसा नहीं, judge बन के नहीं बैठा है, मतलब any one of us जैसे बैठ जाएंगे ना, तो he'll go and he'll sit and he'll see the proceedings of the court. However, with the permission of the court, obviously. He'll take the permission of the court. He cannot barge into any court. That will undermine the authority of court. And so he takes the permission, and then he comes, and permissions milti hai. The courts are not denying. However, the court should know that somebody who is in the highest legal officer of the country is also coming to that court. So with this, he is allowed to sit in that court also. Right, to any court, if you feel that even Solicitor General are allowed to sit, though it is not mentioned in the Constitution, and neither Solicitor General can sit in the Parliament. However, in any court they can come and sit, again with the permission. Solicitor General would have additional Solicitor General to support them. Now, I was talking about that they are not falling under full-time, or they are not government servants. in terms of full-time council of the government of India. Full-time council की बात चल रही है. They are executives. However, they're not full-time council. It means that when they're not being engaged, तो क्या करेंगे वो? They'll do private practice. Now, why they are not denied private practice? See, somebody who is an advocate who served for so many years in XYZ is eligible to become the advocate general, attorney general. Now, you want good person who's good, who knows law. Now, somebody who's good needs to means would be a practicing advocate or practicing lawyer, मतलब advocate तभी होंगे. Now, today, if somebody is appointed as attorney, what is he supposed to do with the cases which he's fighting? He may have many cases, so he can't say, okay, tomorrow I'm not fighting your case because I've become the attorney. No, we can't have this kind of discontinuity. So he's allowed to fight civil and criminal cases. So don't think he is not allowed to fight criminal cases also independently. However, criminal cases he takes only with the consent of the government of India. मतलब consent उनकी permission लेंगे वो. He can accept civil cases, but criminal में he has to take the permission of the government. However, under no condition he can fight cases against the government of India, because he is already the highest legal officer of the country. It means that from one side he is representing the government. So if we take a case against the government of India, it means he is the one. He's like it's like one person playing chess. यहाँ पे भी मैं हूँ, वहाँ पे भी मैं हूँ. So that is against the principle of natural justice. So most probably he would weaken one side. So it's not allowed. However, civil criminal cases वो कर सकते हैं वो. ठीक है. The attorney general is not getting any salary. Salary नहीं मिलती. They get remuneration. Now it is that it could be case by case, where a case is being presented. So they'll say, okay, the number of hearings I go into. So it could be 10 hearings. So, and it could be let's say 1 lakh rupees per hearing, 2 lakh rupees, 4 lakh, 5 lakh rupees also. We've seen the Karnataka state paid almost 4 lakh rupees per hearing to the advocate और बेसिकली देखो अटॉर्नी जनरल है तो स्टेट के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में भी जनरल है, आपको दिखाता हूँ मैं. 76 है ना, लेट्स से, तो 76 वुड बी 165. ठीक है. एडवोकेट जनरल ऑफ द स्टेट. सो एडवोकेट जनरल जो है ये बेसिकली कर्नाटक के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में रिसेंटली विद सीन, सो ही हैड टू अपीयर 10 times फॉर द स्टेट ऑफ कर्नाटका इन हाई कोर्ट रिगार्डिंग एन इशू, एंड द स्टेट पेड हिम 40 लाख रुपीस 10 हियरिंग के लिए, मतलब 4 लाख रुपए पर केस, पर हियरिंग सॉरी. So it depends. It's not that, matlab he would be researching beforehand. He would have his own expenses. Like he would need to have a team. Everything you can't do all the research, everything yourself. So he would also have his own setup. However, isliye they are not given salary. They are given remuneration. Had it been a full-time counsel and then the salary would have been given. So फिर तो होता है कि that n number of cases you fight, you still would be given same amount. However, now it is up to the negotiation. Now, in terms of attorney, there is no ground for removal of the attorney. कोई ground है ही नहीं. Conventionally, he would resign when the government resigns. So this is again a convention. Basically, he is appointed because he is appointed by the president. However, again on the advice of the Council of Ministers, and in terms of the Council of Ministers, they would like somebody who is good. Attorneys. We've had cases where the people wanted to become attorney. We've had incidents where the people who were asked to become the attorneys have refused. Recently, sometime back, we saw that a person was asked to become the Attorney General of India. He refused. बोला नहीं बनना मुझे. So there are people who would like to even leave this post or not even join. Generally, this happens when the people are either, let's say, they feel that their ideology is totally different than the government. Generally, this is the these are the issues generally when the ideology, because see, if you don't believe in the ideology of a government, though legally there is no, let's say, saying or no nowhere you anything any bar is there that you need to like the ideology, you don't, or कोई rule नहीं है. However, the government would always promote their ideology through different rules, regulation, laws, and the attorney needs to defend it. So, if the attorney himself is not comfortable with the ideology, how can he defend it in the court? So, we had this event, and it happened, if I'm not wrong, last year only it happened. However, he did not, maybe, I don't think so, he's given the view that I don't like the ideology, but generally I'm saying, in England, the advocate or the attorney general needs to be an open supporter of the political party. Matlab, there it is more about a political aspect. If you're an open supporter of a political party, then you are given, then there could be a possibility you may be given the post of the attorney general. However, in India, matlab, there is successful barrister who is also a party supporter. In India, it's not that. You may like the government, you may not like the government, because government is not country, country is not government. However, ये cases देखो ऐसा भी होता है कि currently the government of India would have many cases. Now imagine that 2024 the government changes. So the new government, whichever the government comes, they would also continue to fight these cases which are already there. It's not, there could be a lot of cases which the government may take it back. कि नहीं है, ये लड़ना नहीं है हमें. However, generally the continuation is there. New government would come. We may have another attorney general. Generally, देखो, there is no ground on which attorneys can be removed. There is no procedure. कुछ नहीं है. So basic होता क्या है? As appointed by the president on the advice of the council, particularly, and he is supposed to represent the government. So conventionally, वो attorney resign कर देते हैं when the government resigns. And then, as soon as the new government is set up, the new government also appoints another attorney general, मतलब through president. So rule नहीं है ऐसा कुछ that you need to resign with the government. Constitution has not or is not saying anything. However, it is generally when the government is resigning, they also resign. पीटी में यही डोमेन पे घूम के आ रहा है. He is not a member of the cabinet. ठीक है. However, he gets the immunities and privileges of MPs. Though he is not member of the parliament, he is not an MP. However, he gets all immunities and privileges of the any member of parliament has. जो भी एक MP के पास पावर है, privilege है, same इनके पास रहती है. So they do get, मतलब he gets parliamentary privilege. What are parliamentary privilege? वो legislature में हम देखेंगे. ठीक है? लिखिए Attorney General. Write down Attorney General, Article 76. Write down. Appointed by the President. Appointed by the President. Next point. Qualification of Supreme Court Judge. Qualification of Supreme Court Judge. Next point. Highest law officer in the country. Highest law officer in the country. Law officer in the country. Next point. No procedure or ground for removal. No procedure or ground for removal. Next point. No fixed tenure. No fixed tenure. Next point. Conventionally resigns when the government resigns. Conventionally resigns when the government resigns. Next point. Remuneration is decided by the president. Remuneration is decided by the president. ब्रैकेट में लिखिए not fixed, not fixed. Next point. Attorney General is to be consulted. Attorney General is to be consulted only after the Ministry of Law has been consulted. Only after the Ministry of Law has been consulted. Full stop. Continue. All references to Attorney General is made by the Law Ministry. Next line. Right of audience. AUDIENCE. Right of audience मतलब कोई भी कोर्ट में बैठ सकते हो. Right of audience in all courts. Next point. Right to take part and speak. In both houses. And in joint sitting. However, cannot vote here. Next point. Privileges and immunities of an MP. Next point. He represents the government of India. In context of Article 143. This article, this we have already done, you know it. President goes in for or asks for advice. Next point. He does not fall in the category of government servant. Next point. Not a full-time council of a government, and can do private practice. Next point. He cannot appear against the government of India. Next point. He cannot defend an accused. he cannot defend an accused in criminal proceedings. He cannot defend an accused in criminal proceedings and accept the directorship the directorship of a company without the permission of the government, without the permission of the government. Next point, not a member of cabinet, not a member of cabinet. Next point, in Britain, comma, the appointment of Attorney General is political in nature. The appointment of Attorney General is political in nature. Is political in nature in the sense that it is conferred on a successful barrister. Who is a supporter of party in power, Okay, give a gap of 1-2 line and then we'll write few things about Solicitor General also. Solicitor General, give a gap of 1-2 line and then write down Solicitor General. Solicitor General is subordinate to Attorney General. Solicitor General is subordinate to Attorney General and is supported by many additional Solicitor Generals Full stop. Continue. It is not a constitutional post. इसको अंडरलाइन कीजिएगा. It is not a constitutional post. It means that about Solicitor General nothing is mentioned in the Constitution. ठीक है? So it is not a constitutional post. ये अंडरलाइन कर लीजिएगा. Full stop. Continue. Solicitor General and additional Solicitor General have the right of audience, in all courts in the country. Full stop. Continue. Union Law Ministry appoints solicitor appoints solicitor and additional solicitor general and additional solicitor general. ठीक है? So that is what is Article 76, and the Solicitor General not mentioned in the Constitution, and additional solicitor are appointed by the Ministry, not the President. ठीक है? Ministry appoint करती है. एडवोकेट जनरल का सेम कॉन्टेक्स्ट हो जाएगा. एडवोकेट जनरल जो होंगे वो कॉन्टेक्स्ट में गवर्नर के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में आ जाएगा. सो ही इज अ रेप्लिका ऑफ द अटॉर्नी जनरल. तो article, that is what union executive. If you look at that, so we've done the president, we've done the prime minister, president, vice president, prime minister's council, साथ में, and the attorney general of India. So union executives we have finished. Okay. Now we need to go to the state executive. However, I feel there are two offices about which we should know of. One is Cabinet Secretariat, another is Prime Minister Office. The office of Prime Minister, that is the Prime Minister Office, has been news in, it would always be in news. However, in the last few years, particularly the last, let's say around 8 years, it has been news for almost everything. Almost everything means har kaam kiya hai PMO ने. So it is because of this, I feel there could be a possibility logically Cabinet Secretariat and Prime Minister Office, it should be there in mains. However, logically when I say in mains, I mean to say it should be there for public administration. It should not be coming in general studies paper. However, I still feel as they can ask question from, let's say, PMO, Cabinet Secretariat, it's their call. So just to don't want to take any risk, that's the reason covering up the Cabinet Secretariat and Prime Minister Office. Now, in terms of the first, I'll make you understand the Cabinet Secretariat, and then we would write, and then I'll explain to you the Prime Minister's Office also. Then we'll write, or maybe I'll explain you both the things together, and then we'll write. देखो, Cabinet Secretariat, Cabinet Secretary, he is the highest ranking officer, मतलब IAS officer जो सबसे senior होगा ना, that is what he would be the one. So he would be the one who would be the head of IAS officers. मतलब जो today जो होंगे ना आज की डेट पे, so all the IAS officers in India are junior to Cabinet Secretary. It takes, let's say, the last 1-2 years of service, whatever is left at that time only, generally people are becoming the Cabinet Secretariat. So people who get selected at the age of 21, 22, 23 can expect that they can reach to that point. However, or 24 also, but plus 25 if somebody becomes a civil servant as per the current rules in the sense that seniority is counted. So the person would not be able to reach to Cabinet Secretary. That is the highest post for an IAS officer. So we know that it is headed by an IAS officer. Agreed. The Prime Minister is the head. However, officer-wise we find Cabinet Secretary. So CS, or the Cabinet Secretary, is heading the Cabinet Secretariat. Now, if in PT you find a statement that he decides the agenda of the meeting, means Cabinet Secretariat decides the agenda of the meeting. तो अब बात आती है कि how can IAS officers decide what needs to be discussed? However, this is a right statement because all the discussion is happening, or all the decisions of, let's say, what meeting would be discussed or what points would be discussed. Everything is being told by the Prime Minister. Matlab, the Cabinet Secretariat decides the agenda of the meeting. If you see this statement and even full stop, you will consider it as right because the Cabinet Secretariat does decide the agenda of the meeting. However, yes, with the under the leadership of the Prime Minister. So even if the statement is not there under the leadership, we would consider the statement as right. So Prime Minister Office does everything of the cabinet, sorry, the cabinet secretariat does everything of the cabinet. जो cabinet का meeting होगा, cabinet discuss करेगी, all the, let's say cabinet would like to discuss on nuclear issue, or let's say nuclear weapon. So then what would happen? There would be a lot of data, information which would be required on this issue. So cabinet secretariat would collect all data, information, presentations which would be required for this discussion. So background, every research would be done by the cabinet secretariat so that the officers when they come, means the ministers when they'll come, they would know, matlab they can't, it should not happen that they are sitting there and they don't have documents on some issue on which they have to take decision on. So all the backgrounds, reports, everything which would be required for that particular meeting, they would be working on that. Once the decision has been taken by the cabinet, now this decision may be concerning with maybe 2 ministry, 3 ministry, 4 ministry or everyone. बहुत के हर deal हो सकता है. मतलब something may only deal few ministries, something may deal with everyone. So it is the cabinet's responsibility to inform the concerned ministries. वो भेजेंगे information. ये decision has been taken. Now the cabinet secretariat or the secretary is a senior officer or the senior most IS officer. There are certain ministries which, if working properly, they are bound to fight. Matlab, if they are not fighting, in general, you don't hear about that XY, there is some tussle going on between two different ministries. Then it means both of them are or one of them is not working properly. So कहीं ना कहीं तो लड़ना है. Let's say example is we have the coal ministry and environment ministry. So the coal ministry would go in for too much of, let's say, taking out of the coal, and environment would say and protect it. So there would be some area where coal ministry would like to go deeper, environment would not say anything, right? So maybe renewable sources of energy, and we have the Ministry of Finance. Renewable energy would require more money in the starting. So there are certain ministries which are bound to fight. We would like to have a healthy fight. Still, as जो मतलब कोई problem तो हो सकती है. So as the cabinet secretary is the senior IS officer, because these two ministries in regarding which I have given you example, they would also be headed by IS officer under the minister. So once he speaks to them, तो चीजें solve out हो जाती है. So even crisis manager में मतलब he is able to improve the coordination between different ministries also. If you notice that Article 78 demands that the Prime Minister communicates to the President all decisions. So all decisions of the cabinet जो है, it is being communicated by the cabinet secretary to the or cabinet secretariat to the president. तो ये link cabinet secretariat is actually the link between the president and the council, क्योंकि यहीं पे decision होंगे सारे cabinet के, and as soon as the decision is taken, they would inform the regular all the ministries concerned, departments concerned, and also the president. So ये उनके context पे भी आता है, ठीक है? Before we write, let me see, there are certain queries. Who determines the salary and the allowances of the Prime Minister chosen advisories other than the cabinet ministers in kitchen cabinet? But kitchen cabinet कोई ऐसा, this is not an official term. Kitchen cabinet, ये एक kitchen cabinet is basically, let's say, few family members or few very close ministers. So generally kitchen cabinet term was used as family members also advising. However, it is very close group of ministers. जैसे दो तीन, let's say 20 लोग हैं. Imagine 20 people are there. You may not be friends with all 20 equally. So there could be a possibility sometime all 20 would sit and decide something. However, your regular meeting with 3-4 is more. So not only officially but unofficially also you are meeting with these 3-4 people. So consider them as kitchen cabinet. बस वही context है बेटा. ठीक है, तो salary वाले context आता ही नहीं है इसमें. Now, sir, back of the government, all decisions take and executed by ISIPS. Then what is the need for all the ministers? नहीं देखो, the in democracy, the appointed should never be the one who should run the government. It should always be the elected one. तो elected the MPs होंगे वो. Now they would be an MLA at the state level. So the real power should be with the people who are, let's say, the elected people. Yes, there is an issue between direct election and indirect election. So indirect is the Rajya Sabha. Still, both the aspect may some or the other form of election is there. So in this context, the decision needs to be taken by the final authority. Sign jo hoga, it has to be of a minister. Once he approves, then the other agencies are supposed to follow. ठीक है? So इसके लिए we require ministers. ठीक है. Next देखते हैं. In India, anybody go to Supreme Court after judgment of High Court for further justice. In US, High Court and Supreme Court has same power. So if there is anybody not satisfied with the High Court judgment, बेटा यूएस में दो अलग टाइप की जुडिशरी है. देयर इज फेडरल कोर्ट्स एंड देयर आर द रेगुलर हाई कोर्ट्स, स्टेट के होते हैं. दिस आई हैड एक्चुअली टोल्ड एट दैट टाइम आल्सो दैट देयर ओनली द फेडरल केसेस वुड गो टू द फेडरल कोर्ट्स. So if it is related to the state cases, it cannot go to the federal court of मतलब federal court of US. वो जाएगा ही नहीं उसमें. It would end in that state. End हो जाएगा, खत्म हो जाएगा वो. ठीक है? Sir, a criminal case is filed against the government. So does that mean that the Attorney General cannot fight criminal cases at all? नहीं बेटा, वो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में है. गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में होता है. देयर आर स्टेट्स ऑल्सो, बट ही अवॉइड्स. ओवरऑल मान लो तो कोई एग्जाम के लिए है दैट द एक्शन पीटी में अगर आएगा तो आपको क्या टिक करना होता है. प्रैक्टिकली में तो अलग चीजें आ जाती है. देयर आर, यू नो दैट इवन द अटॉर्नी डज नॉट इवन, ही स्टॉप्स टेकिंग द केसेस ऑल टुगेदर. ही इज सो मच ऑक्युपाइड विद द गवर्नमेंट that though he is allowed to have his private practice, only the cases which he has already taken earlier, he continues. Generally मैं बोल रहा हूँ, legally he is allowed to have the other cases also, but he does not take, engaged रहते हैं. So much of pressure, so many types of cases against the government, so many throughout the country, so many high court, 25 high court. So he may be busy with any of these things. तो मान के चलना है कि पीटी के लिए आएगा तो टिक करना है कि wrong करना है. ठीक है? Don't go much deeper inside that. What's the difference between government council, attorney general, solicitor? नहीं तो गवर्नमेंट अटॉर्नी जनरल इज अ गवर्नमेंट काउंसिल. कोई इसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं है वो. ठीक है? मतलब वो काउंसिल फुल टाइम काउंसिल नहीं होता है कि उनको एडवाइस वाला नहीं होता है, बट ही इज एडवाइजिंग दिस. तो आप काउंसिल को गूगल पर करेंगे, यू विल अंडरस्टैंड द टर्म एंड ट्राई टू रिलेट. कैन द अटॉर्नी जनरल बी कॉल्ड एज अ लीगल काउंसिल फॉर द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया? अपने आप आंसर मिल जाएगा बेटा. हु आर पब्लिक प्रोसिक्यूटर्स? पीपी तो बेटा ये अब लोअर कोर्ट्स वगैरह में मिल जाएंगे. ये गवर्नमेंट के एम्प्लॉय. आप समझो कि गवर्नमेंट अपॉइंट करती है पब्लिक प्रोसिक्यूटर्स. ये जो रहेंगे ये प्रूफ करेंगे कोर्ट में दैट somebody has, if I have done a crime, I have been arrested, I would hire my own advocate and from state side public prosecutor होंगे. ठीक है? इनका एक अलग से एग्जाम कंडक्ट होता है. ठीक है? So they represent the government before the court. Yes, PP public prosecutors ही करते हैं. So the attorney general has the right of audience in all courts. सही है, वो कोर्ट में जाके बैठ सकते हैं, but can he give judgments there? बेटा वो जजमेंट्स के लिए he is not sitting, मैंने बताया कि he is not sitting as a judge. वो आप मेरे जैसे जाके बैठते हैं कोर्ट में, वैसे जाके कोर्ट में बैठ सकते हैं, बट जजमेंट का कॉन्टेक्स्ट ही कैसे आएगा? he is not a judge. He can sit in the court. कोर्ट में भी नहीं है कि वो जज साहब के साइड में बैठेंगे वो. नो, he'll sit as another person, but you can't, वो कोर्ट की परमिशन लेके बैठ सकते हैं जाके. तो जजमेंट तो ये कॉन्टेक्स्ट ही नहीं है. इफ नॉट देन व्हाट्स द यूटिलिटी ऑफ दिस पावर? बेटा यूटिलिटी यही है ना कि ही वुड अंडरस्टैंड एग्जैक्टली व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ आर्गुमेंट्स वर गिवन इन द कोर्ट्स. कोर्ट्स में क्या आर्गुमेंट दी गई है, वो केस बाद में सुप्रीम कोर्ट में भी आ सकता है. ही मे बी टुडे ही मे बी देयर and giving somebody else is giving arguments. After a few days he may be the one who may represent the, or he will continue with the case. ऐसा थोड़ी होता है कि एक एडवोकेट ने स्टार्ट किया and he would be the one who will end the case. No, you may have many people giving arguments. So provision has been provided. ठीक है. So heading लिखिए cabinet secretariat. Heading is cabinet secretariat. Write down headed by cabinet secretary. Headed by cabinet secretary. Headed by cabinet secretary. ठीक है. Next line. Responsible for convening the cabinet meeting. Responsible for convening the cabinet meeting. Convening the cabinet meeting, comma, preparing for its meeting. Preparing for its meeting and finalizing the agenda of cabinet meeting. Finalizing the agenda, AGEND, agenda of cabinet meeting. ठीक है. ब्रैकेट के अंदर लिखिए, राइट डाउन अंडर दिस ब्रैकेट, all under guidance of, within the bracket write down, all under guidance of Prime Minister. All under guidance of Prime Minister. Next line. Regularly communicates the decision. Regularly communicates the decision to concerned agencies. Regularly communicates decision to concerned agencies. Next line. Regularly keeps the president updated. Regularly keeps the president updated. Keeps the president updated. Next line. It helps in establishing. It helps in establishing. Helps in establishing coordination amongst various ministries. Coordination amongst various ministries. Coordination amongst various ministries. ठीक है. So the concept is pretty clear that what the cabinet secretariat is doing. PT में ही most probably आना चाहिए. It should not be there in mains. However, even in that context, you get the idea exactly what work is being done by the cabinet. ठीक है. Now another is, for mains answer writing practice, we should stick only to the topics from where question came in the mains exam. नहीं बेटा ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. वो every मतलब basic idea तो पूरा ही होना चाहिए. You should know all the question is should be stick to the question topics which were earlier asked in mains, not necessarily so. However, you should be able to answer all the questions of the previous years. ये तो बात है, आना चाहिए, because it has been asked. Generally, the questions are not repeated, but however, in the last कभी भी 5-7 साल में, we may find 1-2 question of similar nature being asked. Sometimes even the same question. So with this, you would you would be able to write a better answer at least for that question. So practice में करना होता है. Whatever we are discussing, चाहे PT चाहे mains में हो, you should be able to write answers of all. So that's the reason you should also try. अभी test series भी होगी, PT बाद में mains होगी. If you stick, let's say the PT test series has a different team altogether. So it's not that if you stick only to the class notes, you will be able to write all the answers. No, होगा ही नहीं possible, because in class we are giving a lot of attention to mains and trying to clear the concept. So the team is different. They don't know exactly कि क्या पढ़ाया होगा. For them, important is 2023 PT. According to them, whatever they find important, they would keep on asking, or whatever they find a student should know, they'll keep on asking. So you need to read the standard textbook. And also, test series is not only to test you, it is also to further prepare you, because you do get further reading material. Let's say a question is there, why the question is right, why the question is wrong, that is also explained there. And in that context, we also get the idea regarding, or we also get further material. They say a statement may be there, for 2-3 statement could be there in a question. For the explanation part, it may be more than a paragraph. So the concept would be explained much deeper, much further. So that would further build your, or it will also help you to further understand that topic in a much better way. So इसी की वजह से है. So don't think that you do not know something, or one portion, or 10 question, 50 question, let's say you didn't know. However, post the exam, now you know these 50 answers. At the same time, with the explanation, we want your answer to come correct, not only here, but also finally in the PT. However, here if you are doing mistake, but you are able to rectify it finally at the time of PT, तो भी we are more than happy, because we want you to get इसमें, if you score 150, 180, however fail PT, what's the use, right? And never judge your performance on the basis of marks. Performance needs to be judged on the basis of, if you've studied something, you should not make error. And in the test series, we also ask questions on those areas where we want student to that concentrate कि यहाँ तो ये पढ़ा है कि नहीं पढ़ा है. ठीक है, तो डोंट थिंक कि एक नॉर्मल एक क्लास नोट्स पढ़ लिए सब निकल जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं होता. ठीक है. नाउ सर फॉर मी, ठीक है सर, एनी रिटायर्ड जज ऑफ एनी हाई कोर्ट कैन ज्वाइन एज एडवोकेट जनरल ऑफ इंडिया. बेटा करने में तो कर सकते हैं. ही कैन बिकम द अटॉर्नी जनरल ऑल्सो इफ ही होल्ड्स द सेम क्वालिफिकेशन ऑफ अ सुप्रीम कोर्ट जज. However, he cannot plead in that court because the post-retirement bar is there. तो जनरली वो उनको नहीं बनाया जाता, because a person is debarred generally, but legally तो eligible है. 5 साल if he served as a high court judge कम से कम, और let's say if he is a high court judge retire के बाद तो कर सकते हैं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, but generally नहीं करवाते. ठीक है. Now another heading is Prime Minister's Office. PMO हेडिंग लिखिए. PMO, प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स ऑफिस. ठीक है. नाउ देखो, प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफिस, अर्लियर इट वाज नोन एज प्राइम मिनिस्टर सेक्रेटेरिएट. सेक्रेटेरिएट जाना मतलब दिस वाज एक्चुअली कॉल्ड एज प्राइम मिनिस्टर सेक्रेटेरिएट. पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस द नेम वाज चेंज्ड टू प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफिस. नाउ प्राइम मिनिस्टर सेक्रेटेरिएट और द प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफिस डज एवरीथिंग ऑफ द प्राइम मिनिस्टर. हर काम प्राइम मिनिस्टर का करेंगे, एक्सेप्ट द वर्क ऑफ कैबिनेट and except the party related activity. So party, because the person is a politician, so he may have many obligations with the political parties to which he belongs to. In that context, the prime minister office would not do anything. And in terms of the cabinet, because we already have the cabinet secretariat. So overall is, we have almost everything of prime minister is being done by the prime minister office. Let's say he would like to go and inaugurate an institution. So in the starting of the year, he would get all the list that यहाँ जाना है. The PMO would coordinate with the rest of the agencies. The Prime Minister office would decide exactly which inauguration he's supposed to do. Right? The Prime Minister, ठीक है, he decides कि कहाँ जाएंगे नहीं जाएंगे. However, he is such an occupied person, he may not keep everything in mind कि कल कहाँ जाना है, परसों कहाँ जाना है, परसों कहाँ जाना है, what needs to be done after 3 months. No, it is the team he has. They would decide everything and agreed under his guidance only. But they are the one जो daily काम का होगा कि इतने बजे ये meeting, उतने बजे ये, इतने बजे वो, उतने बजे वो. And also before the Prime Minister goes, there are a lot of security arrangement needs to be done. Recce of the area, everything. ये सब PMO coordinate करवा के सब करवाता. Agreed. SPG is also there. Overall is दो काम अगर छोड़ दो, political work and cabinet work, Prime Minister is doing everything. Now, when we see post-independence, this office was not that big. This office is an important office because of the proximity to the Prime Minister. As Prime Minister is the strongest, the most powerful person, so the person who would become the principal secretary to Prime Minister. जैसे Cabinet Secretariat is headed by Cabinet Secretary. Likewise, Prime Minister office is headed by a principal secretary to Prime Minister. प्रिंसिपल सेक्रेटरी टू प्राइम मिनिस्टर जो होंगे वो अपने आप ही पावरफुल हो जाएंगे बिकॉज ही इज क्लोज टू द प्राइम मिनिस्टर. नाउ पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस वी डिड नॉट फाइंड दिस ऑफिस टू बी वेरी स्ट्रांग. नेहरू डिड नॉट यूज दिस ऑफिस रेगुलरली. ही वाज मोर इंक्लाइंड टुवर्ड्स द कैबिनेट सेक्रेटेरिएट. ही वर्कड मोर थ्रू कैबिनेट सेक्रेटेरिएट. अगर आप हायरार्की देखोगे तो कैबिनेट सेक्रेटेरिएट हैज मोर पावर. ही इज द सीनियर मोस्ट आईएएस ऑफिसर. सो however, whenever the PMO would become stronger, तो cabinet secretariat down हो जाएगा, prime minister's office strong हो जाएगा, तो principal secretary to prime minister would be considered higher in hierarchy. जैसे currently it is the principal secretary to prime minister, उनकी power बहुत ज़्यादा होगी. Now post, let's say Nehru, we find that it started becoming more powerful. In 70s में it became very powerful. Now 60s maybe it was becoming powerful because of the Prime Minister giving more attention to this office, because all the work of his personal work जो होगा Prime Minister का, personal in the sense that these decisions of the office and everything would be taken by this office only under his guidance. So the Prime Ministers में क्या हुआ कि the Prime Ministers trusted these people much more than their even other cabinet ministers. They always wanted a very strong confidant that this person should be my principal secretary. If you notice that when we're talking about the ordinance, in that context, we wrote that in 2014 an ordinance was issued for appointment of one person as a principal secretary. Matlab, person was legally not even eligible to become the principal secretary. Ordinance से law change किया था because the current Prime Minister wanted one very specific person कि यही मेरा principal secretary होगा. So even if the law did not allow it, he got the law changed. ठीक है? So you can understand how important this office is for a Prime Minister. Late 60s में there was a meeting which was happening in different parts of the world related to nuclear deal, and the meeting was very important. That's the reason the heads of USSR and US, the two superpowers or the two powers of that time, heads were coming. So you can understand how important that meeting was. It was happening in Moscow, London, in different parts of the world, and from India, Principal Secretary was sent in. So LK Jha साहब important आदमी थे. Whether गरीबी हटाओ, मतलब with the arrival of Indira Gandhi, this office became much more powerful. So whether we talk about poverty alleviation program, whether we talk about गरीबी हटाओ, everything was done from the Prime Minister's office. Everything. But during emergency, the Prime Minister's office had actually become the Government of India office. मतलब पीएमओ was not the PMO but the government of India office, सब काम वहीं से हो. Now post emergency, and even let's say if you see PC Alexander, now PC Alexander was the principal secretary to Prime Minister. Now PC Alexander was regularly taken to foreign, let's say whenever the Prime Minister was going, the Prime Minister was taking along with her PC Alexander. जहाँ जहाँ जाती थी, she used to take him. At the same time, foreign affairs ministers were not taken. जहाँ foreign affairs का minister, the main work of foreign affairs is to have good relationship. However, the Prime Minister is going and she has Principal Secretary to Prime Minister accompanying her. He's written a book, My Years with Indira, and in that book, he speaks like even reshuffling of cabinet may he was taken or he was asked that what should I do. So you can understand that Principal Secretary had much more power. But even at this level, that reshuffling of cabinet में बात हो रही है. So not even national, international issues, but even party-related matters में the Prime Minister, the Principal Secretary was being consulted. Post emergency, what happened? We wanted to cut the size of this office. We got to know that how deadly or how strong this office had become. So first of all, we did what we do the best, that is changing the name. So Prime Minister's Secretariat name was changed to Prime Minister Office, PMO बना दिया, post emergency. However, and it was reduced in size. However, this was short-lived. कुछ ही दिन रहा है. Then again it became powerful. However, not as powerful as in 70s. Then in the coalition time, this became weak because in coalition mein cabinet secretariat would become stronger. Because let's say the agricultural minister, imagine that he's from another political party. So why would the decision of the agriculture, let's say related to ministry, why would the Prime Minister office release this news? Agriculture minister would say, I would release this information that from my ministry. So because he has autonomy, he's from another political party which is there in the coalition. So cabinet secretariat power would increase, principal secretary to Prime Minister's office power would decrease. जब भी coalition रहेगी. Currently, we have the PMO is very strong, as strong as the emergency, and a lot of time it is said it is much more stronger than the emergency's PMO also. So every work is duplicated here. Let's say all ministries would take decisions, but that decision would not be informed to the public. वो Prime Minister office जाएगा. Where decisions are checked by the Prime Minister's office, it is vetted and finally given as that the Prime Minister has taken this decision. That's the reason. छुट्टी चाहिए, नहीं चाहिए, boards होंगे, नहीं होंगे. Any decision is the Prime Minister's office. The Prime Minister has done it. Prime Minister. So it shows how strong that officer has, or basically officers of the Prime Minister office has become. As the concentration, and this is not good for democracy, that is one institution having all the powers. It is because of this we don't know the names of many ministers, because every decision is coming from the one office only. It is because of these things, if the 24 government change, if one of the institution who will be clipped would be this only, Prime Minister's office. Okay? So let's say P.N. Huxer, P.C. Alexander, ये सब के भी एग्जाम्पल हैं, इनको भी देख लेंगे, मतलब इनको कोट करेंगे हम. ठीक है, तो लिखिए आप, हेडिंग लिखिए प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स ऑफिस. Prime Minister office, write down, is responsible for providing all the secretarial assistance secretarial assistance to Prime Minister, secretarial assistance to Prime Minister other than responsibility of cabinet, or party related responsibility, full stop. Continue. It is headed by Principal Secretary to Prime Minister. It is headed by Principal Secretary to Prime Minister. Full stop. Continue. Most of the authority of the PMO, of the Prime Minister Office has evolved from its informal influence by the virtue of its proximity to the Prime Minister, Full stop. Continue. It has no mention, no mention को underline कर लो. It has no mention in the Indian Constitution. Full stop. Continue. It was given the status of department. Under the Government of India, comma, allocation of business rules, 1961, allocation of business rules, 1961. Next line. Nehru maintained Prime Minister Secretariat. At a modest level. Full stop. Continue. He never relied heavily on the Prime Minister Secretariat. And operated more through Cabinet Secretary. Next line. State and relationship. S-T-A-T-E. State and relationship changed between changed between Cabinet Secretariat, change between Cabinet Secretariat and Prime Minister Secretariat and Prime Minister Secretariat with the arrival of Lal Bahadur Shastri, with the arrival of Lal Bahadur Shastri. Full stop. Continue. For the first time, Prime Minister Secretariat increased. For the first time, Prime Minister Secretariat increased in size and operation, and its status also increased with the appointment of L.K. Jha, Next line. In 1967, he was sent to Moscow. In 1967, he was sent to Moscow, London, etc. To participate in deliberations regarding the nuclear treaty. Full stop. Continue. The significance of this trip is that he was deliberating with the heads of US and USSR. Next line. Concentration of administration of Government of India reached another level with Indira Gandhi. Full stop. Continue. P.N. Huxer advised Prime Minister on national, international, and even on party related matters, Full stop. Continue. He enjoyed superior status. He enjoyed superior status. He enjoyed superior status to cabinet secretary. He enjoyed superior status to cabinet secretary. Full stop. Continue. Weather emergency, comma, poverty alleviation program, poverty alleviation programs, etc., etc., all were carried from Prime Minister Secretariat, all were carried out from Prime Minister Secretariat. Full stop. Continue. During this time, it became Government of India. During this time, it became Government of India Secretariat. During this time, it became Government of India Secretariat. Next line. PC Alexander was included in most of the foreign trips, Full stop. Continue. Lots of time, foreign affairs ministers were not included. In these trips. Foreign affairs ministers were not included in these trips. Next line. Reforms in Prime Minister Secretariat started after emergency. Reforms in Prime Minister Secretariat started after emergency. Full stop. Continue. Its name was changed to Prime Minister Office. PMO, इसको ब्रैकेट में लिखिए 1977. So its name was changed to PMO within the bracket 1977. Full stop. Continue. After emergency, it was reduced in. Size and operation. Full stop. Continue. Though it was short-lived. Next line. Morarji Desai ठीक है, मोरारजी देसाई exhibited a more democratic style, exhibited a more democratic style of functioning, a more democratic style of functioning, and kept PMO and kept Prime Minister office and kept PMO at low profile and kept PMO at low profile. Full stop, continue. In 80s again, in 1980s again, PMO witnessed great authority. PMO witnessed great authority and status. PMO witnessed great authority and status, but never attained the status, but never attained the status of 1970s, never attained the status of 1970s. Full stop, continue. With coming up of coalition, power of cabinet secretariat increased. With coming up of coalition, power of cabinet secretariat increased. Okay? So with this, you know that how it fluctuated. Post, if the government changes, PMO first institution इसको clip किया जाएगा. देखो, we've had an event last year only, if I'm not wrong, wherein the PMO wrote a letter to the election commission that you come to my office, we would like to discuss something. It was not, wording were not like this. However, it was that they were calling the election commission to the office of PMO. Now, the important point is, how can a non-constitutional body, something which is not even mentioned in the constitution, or ask the constitutional body that you come here? This again, EC did not go, election commission didn't go. However, this itself was wrong कि आप बुला उनको इधर आओ आप. Now, I believe mostly that the probability is that as they were ordering every institution, you do this, you do that, and nobody was objecting them. So, in that flow, they might have thought कि ठीक है वो भी तो आएंगे इधर आएंगे. But when EC did not go, so then it became a news. Okay, this has happened. It would have been, see, it's not about that the EC, it is about this issue that EC is calling, a non-constitutional body is being called by a non-constitutional body calling a constitutional body, जो कि दोनों में जमीन आसमान का पावर का फर्क है. प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफिस जो कल से रूल चेंज कर दो, एग्जिस्टेंस खत्म हो जाएगा. दिस ऑफिस कुड बी removed altogether, but EC cannot be removed. It is, the power is like so different. The election commission is protected by the constitution. So it would have been much better if the prime minister office, if they would have written, and I'm not saying that topic or the discussion or what they wanted to discuss was not important. It would be maybe one of the most important topics. They were actually going to talk about the electoral reforms, which is very important. However, the issue is, they would have written a letter wherein they would have said that XYZ issue needs to be discussed, and if you permit, we would like to host this meeting with your permission. However, if you ask us, we would even come to the place where you consider it to be necessary for this particular meeting. तो थोड़ा सा ऊपर नीचे, मतलब let's say they could have asked EC, शायद oblige कर जाते, शायद मना कर जाते. However, this calling the EC that you come, this all happened because PMO has become too strong currently. I feel it may not be asked in mains because it may be kind of critical to the government, because not this event which happened. However, it may be because if it's being asked regarding PMO, particularly the functioning and overall the behavior, and if it is going in another negative tone, so we may have this event also being presented as example by not only you but many of the students, because this happened recently only. So point is, I expect it to, if at all it is coming, PT में आना चाहिए इसको, मेंस में मोस्टली शायद नेगेटिव टोन पे आ जाए. सो पीएमओ इज डूइंग एवरीथिंग, आप समझो एवरीथिंग रिलेटेड टू प्राइम मिनिस्टर, मतलब सिक्योरिटी होगा, अगर लेट्स से सिक्योरिटी ऑफ कंट्री, यस प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफिस टेक्स केयर ऑफ द सिक्योरिटी ऑफ द कंट्री आल्सो, बिकॉज एनएसए आप चेक करो कि एनएसए किसके, मतलब इज ही पार्ट और इज ही देयर एज अ मेंबर, इज ही प्रेजेंट इन पीएमओ. ठीक है. Sir, wasn't L.K. Jha the governor of RBI as far as I know? P.N. Haksar was the first Minister Secretary to Prime Minister. Please explain. बेटा ये सब के सब लोगों को प्रिंसिपल सेक्रेटरी टू प्राइम मिनिस्टर बनाया हुआ था. ठीक है. Those names, all these names, and they were considered very strong officers. All these people were the principal secretary at different time. The point is, when you have this office पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस से, मतलब ये पहले से भी था, बट देन प्राइम मिनिस्टर सेक्रेटेरिएट है, बट बाद में इसको नाम प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफिस किया हुआ है. तो शुरुआत से ही वी हैड प्रिंसिपल सेक्रेटरी एंड दे हैव बीन वर्किंग. सो आई हैव गिवन यू सर्टेन नेम्स ओनली टू डिफेंड द आंसर. हाउएवर कोई आरबीआई गवर्नर था, उसके आगे या गवर्नर ऑफ आरबीआई, क्या आर दे एलिजिबल और नॉट, दैट इज अ टोटली डिफरेंट कॉन्टेक्स्ट. तो कोई गवर्नर बन जाए या वो वहां पे बाद में प्रिंसिपल सेक्रेटरी बना दिया जाए, कोई ऐसा कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. However, we changed the law in 2014 कि कौन मतलब नहीं बन सकते होंगे या एक्सेप्शंस को अलाउ किया था. ठीक है. But that it should not worry us. We've got examples, and I've told you even the P.N. Haksar, sorry L.K. Jha, he was sent to different countries altogether for different types of meetings and related to nuclear deal also. So he was the let's say the closest person to the prime minister at that time. ठीक है. And agreed, P.N. Haksar was a very strong person, and he also took a lot of decisions, and during this time he was actually more powerful than the cabinet secretary. ठीक है बेटा, यही चीजें हैं वैसे. तो इसमें और आगे जाने का कोई मतलब नहीं होता, इतना it's enough. And there are these people, let's say P.C. Alexander was made governor also. He had become governor also of a state. Prabhat Kumar was also a civil servant and made a governor. लोगों के नाम इधर उधर आपके पास आएंगे, who could be similar people. At the same time, I don't find the name-wise question being asked, at least for principal secretary अभी तो. But the power इस context में तो आ सकता है. ठीक है. PT के context. Now, in terms of the, let's say, union total over, and two additional information I have given you regarding the cabinet secretariat and the prime minister's office. In terms of state, we don't need to discuss the CM. Same power है, PM हो गया तो CM साहब state में हो गया, same चीजें आ गई. Agreed. Something about state legislature we need to know. However, that we'll do when we talk about the parliament. उसमें भी state legislature does not act any time. It's more about the legislative council side. That is where we'll take some time. Now, when we talk about this area, that is the chief minister, I still believe that there could be a question, not in PT but in mains, which may make, or which would most probably be difficult for the students to even attempt, because we've never thought from that perspective. देखो, the international relations is under the domain of union. There is no doubt about that. It is purely with the union. However, we find that the CMs have started playing in international relations also. इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट पे भी उनका डोमेन गया है. We've seen that the areas, let's say the issues with or border disputes के context पे भी, the states have also said many things. Teesta Pact took time because of the insistence of West Bengal. This is also a domain of IR, right? With Bangladesh, we're trying to set up something or solve out something. However, it got delayed. we're not saying अच्छी चीज के लिए खराब चीज के लिए, we're trying to see is the CM playing a role at international level or not. If you notice that the LTT issue, when currently that issue is not there, directly fight is not there. This we saw that see, the people were sensitive throughout the world. People were sensitive over this issue, LTT issue, in terms of if the two organization fights. So there would be people that who would see somebody as oppressor and somebody as oppressed. So a lot of people saw the people who were from the LTT side that they were the one who were being oppressed. However, though मतलब army से proper लड़ाई हो रही है. Once it was said that currently the LTT is no more, then new information of human rights violations started coming up. Lot of information. Now Tamil Nadu being more sensitive, India is also sensitive about the LTT issue. However, Tamil Nadu being more sensitive about the same issue. During that time, we had seen even the Prabhakaran sir, मतलब Prabhakaran साहब के जो बच्चे थे, जो he is now supposed to be the leader of the LTT. His son was caught alive, around 14-year-old child. And his videos were circulated wherein he is being surrounded by the army. He's sitting without his t-shirt, but he is not harmed, not a normal bed. I believe he was eating something. A 14-year-old child. And it was clear that the army, Sri Lankan army has caught this person alive. वो बच्चे को जिंदा पकड़ा था. However, next day, his body was found with many bullets. It was then clear that it was the military had killed him. Otherwise, it was not that there was an ambush or something. ये था कि मार दिया गया. Again, issue became more severe. That human rights violation. Now, in 2013, 10 years back, Commonwealth heads meeting was supposed to happen. Commonwealth head. Now, Commonwealth head countries, the Commonwealth की जो countries होंगे, their heads keeps on meeting in different part of the world to deal with the issues. Deal with the issues of Commonwealth countries, to have better trade, better movement of people, and many other things. The 2013 meeting of Commonwealth heads was happening in Sri Lanka, and Tamil Nadu insisted that the Prime Minister should not go in. Now, देखो ये purely IR domain है. Now, even though it was purely in the domain of the union government or the union, however, the kind of pressure the state had on the union government, the Prime Minister could not go to the Sri Lanka, basically, this Commonwealth heads meeting. It's not that we didn't send any representation. However, PM could not go. When you have the heads of all the countries coming and the Prime Minister of India not going, this is what I लगता है that India would like to send a message. That, and it was clearly conveyed, but the problem was this did not happen because union government didn't want it. This happened because the state didn't want it. That also shows that the states are becoming very powerful. Agreed, because of the SR Bomay judgment, regarding which we have not yet discussed, though SR Bomay judgment has kept on coming, let's say, many times. But emergency में मतलब discuss हो जाएगा Monday. It should be discussed by Monday or most probably, the SR Bomay judgment, or the starting of Tuesday itself. Now, SR Bomay judgment talks about giving stability of the government, or let's say if there is pure majority, or if there is majority is there with the state, the government should not be thrown out. Now, this gives strong support to the state. They know that they cannot be thrown out by the center and unnecessarily 356 cannot be imposed. So if today union does not want, let's say wherever the opposition would be there would be some of the other fight that we would see more at the time of governor also. Now, if they want to remove that government, can they do that? नहीं कर सकते. Let's say if the center wants today to impose 356 in West Bengal, नहीं कर पाए. That is what this all protection came up after the SR Bomay judgment. So we would see the SR, but 356 के context में देखेंगे. This also provides the opportunity for the CM to openly criticize the central government, openly, बिना डरे criticize करते हैं. You find many other states also speaking on the similar lines, which if headed by opposition. Now, international, let's say a lot of time, we've seen that the state is able to attract money from the foreign countries as investment, or then investment programs are being run. Different states are having different kind of money. We've got Gujarat, we've got Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu. They're having their own international program wherein they ask the investors to come and give money to the state. It's not taking loan. It's about the investment that the state shows that I am giving you good, or I'm making good policy for you. You invest in my state. Even West Bengal is doing that. So overall is because of this aspect, comparatively the condition of state is improving and their dependence on the center is comparatively coming down. Now, if we say the states are not dependent on the center in financial matter, this is totally, it would be a factually incorrect information. So therefore, you have to use comparatively. Okay. Now, we would write all these points, but then this is to show you that how they are playing role at international level and how they are becoming independent at the national level also. Could say यहाँ पे. But comparatively coming down, it's not that they are autonomous. At the same time, the comparatively stronger financial states, comparatively, so Maharashtra is a strong state one है finance के context में. So they are also able to say in national, let's say, politics, because they are strong state-wise in terms of finance. Not only this, you will notice that many states are directly even asking investment directly, but again, loan nahi, investment. They are having their own programs. We've got, let's say, Rajasthan government is promoting Rajasthan in different parts of the world so that people directly come to Rajasthan. Likewise, every state is promoting itself. So a lot of places where autonomy has increased. We've got that the states, if having national alliances, because in politics, in coalition politics, what has happened, that the state governments are also becoming partner at the national level. So generally, let's say if the UPA would be there, so we would have some ministers from the TMC side also at national level, because that is generally the alliances are. So the autonomy of West Bengal would increase at a different level. If another political party is there, then the autonomy may not be there. There would be that some work is being done by the legislature and governor may delay the thing, may. So overall क्या होता है कि there are a lot of places where the CMs have started showing more of autonomy. The CMs are playing a role at national and international level. We are not into is it good, is it bad. देखो, if you look at the let's say Tista issue, or if you look at the different kinds of areas wherein the state is also saying something, we may use it for cooperative federalism. So in cooperative federalism ये दिखाया जा सकता है that it is good that though it was purely in the domain of the union, however the center and the state coordinated so that a proper conclusion could be brought in or things could be taken to its proper conclusion, which also supports cooperative federalism. ऐसा करके भी दिखा सकते हैं, क्या दिक्कत है? Now there are countries having let's say more representation or more presence of people from multiple states or single state. They say Middle East would have too much of, let's say the people from Kerala would be there in Middle East. उनका number ज़्यादा है. So the union government also wants that the ambassadors or high commissioners from these states, they also have regular contact with the CMs or the ministers of Kerala. This coordination is even supported by the External Affairs Ministry. The External Affairs Ministry has a division known as States Division. मतलब राज्य का एक division उन्होंने अलग से एक division रखा हुआ है. And the duty of that division is to speak to all the concerned government and make sure that the people where they've got more presentation, let's say more representation, then they have those states have good relations with directly with the government of that country in terms of going there, meeting their people, in terms of having an investment from those countries into those states. Because if every state develop, overall the country would develop. It means that even the union is not anti to this idea of state having a role at or having a good relationship at international level. ठीक है? We've had RPF amendment bill, we've had BSF amendment bill. These bills were taken back because the states insisted on it कि नहीं pass करना है. This also shows that center listening to the demand of the state. So we would write about it, but इसको हम बाद में लिखेंगे. एक बार questions देख लेता हूँ. If you've got any question. So as of now, I don't have any questions on. I've answered all the queries. So we've got day after tomorrow, Monday को हम लोग मिलेंगे. And first I'll dictate you. It'll take few minutes. Then we'll touch the topic of governor. Governor also is a smaller topic. President के बाद वो है, but it'll take more than hour's time. However, it means emergency also we would be starting. So कल परसों you will revise everything whatever we've done from the standard textbooks also. पूरा पढ़ना है. Only the class करके फायदा नहीं है. It is lot of factual information also needs to be picked up. So you will do all the revision जो भी अभी time बचा हुआ है. In the next 2 days you will also study for the exam जो कि आएगा आपका. Regularly we would like to have every week we would like to have an exam, have test and give those tests. Don't think कि बाद में दूंगा. Whatever you are able to write वो लिख दो आप, क्योंकि that helps you the breaking down of that inertia that I don't know well with even or I don't know enough कभी नहीं होगा. So give those tests also. And in terms of the topic आप cover कर लो the governor जो topic होगा, and सारा union executive सारा and state executive text से पढ़ लेना आप, ठीक है, standard textbook से. Governor will do, so you do prepare that. Emergency, center state relations, इतना तो ये दोनों आप पूरा का पूरा ये पढ़ ही लीजिएगा आप अच्छी तरीके से. So the other classes would be easier, and then I'll tell you कि next हम क्या करने वाले हैं, ठीक है. So because we are going to have 5 more days class, so approximately we are going to have 20 hours of class. So we would be able to cover up this and another topic also. However, आप इतना पढ़िए अभी, ठीक है. So we'll catch up day after tomorrow, मतलब on Monday we'll catch up, ठीक है. So thank you, all the best.